You're being lied to about the expat dream. The influencers are fishing for gullible people to take the bait. Is that you? While they flaunt superficial savings and supposed better health care abroad, these things are the lure that often leads to social isolation and hidden long-term risks. It's called bait and switch. Promises, promises, promises. Hello and welcome to our retire early lifestyle. No one says these countries aren't cheaper than the US, but so what? You get what you pay for in the end. Why don't you tell people everything they should know, not just what their ears want to hear? Reality is, most countries that expats move to, the percentage rate is 25% stay and 75% leave after the honeymoon dries up. But in these three countries I'm going to talk about with you today, it's more like 15% stay and 85% leave. Let's start. Japan, the land of the rising sun and cherry blossoms. Shocker, right? I mean, first world, right? Why do Americans move to Japan? Many Americans move to Japan to teach and study, and others simply move there because they can and think it will be their dream retirement. I know everyone wants to move to Japan. It's the new trend. Let's move to Japan! Not so fast. According to research, it's one of the top countries where American expats leave the most. We've always wanted to travel to Japan, and we may travel to Japan one day when we have it in our budget to do so. One of our sons at the age of 12 years old told us just off the cuff one day that he wanted to visit Japan. We thought, oh, just a 12-year-old boy copying something he heard from one of his friends. But guess what? Our son Angelo is now on his 4th year living in Japan as an expat. He teaches English in a classroom to Japanese students. He still doesn't speak Japanese. He knows a few phrases, and that's the extent of what he knows so far. Angelo has met several friends. One is a Brit that helped him get settled in when he first moved there, and after 2 years he met a local Japanese friend that speaks English. Since both of his friends speak perfect English, he doesn't need to know Japanese. Do you see how that works? But just wait. One day you'll realize the language barrier is bigger than you thought it would be, especially if you haven't made any local friends and you're just hanging out with other English-speaking expats. When your English-speaking friends leave, what will you do? And the truth is, if the willingness isn't there to learn it, you probably won't learn the language of the country you move to. If Japanese was an easy language to learn, but it's not. It's very hard. Now, when you think about it, and we probably would not consider living in a foreign country full-time and not knowing the local language. How do you do anything? How do you get by? How do you interact with people and make friends? Angelo told us he felt lonely for a long time when he moved to Japan, but he just kept busy working, and finally he made friendships and started doing more fun things when not working, like hiking and going to the lake. We think he would have come back to the US already had he not met a Japanese friend who happens to speak good English. And so the loneliness is real, folks. They say to stick it out when you get lonely and it will pass. That's what they say. Maybe it will and maybe it won't. It just depends. Yes, it will pass eventually if you meet local people in the community. If you move to Japan, have you thought about what you will be doing? Are you going to be busy working too, or are you retired? If you're retired, are you willing to unretire yourself just so you can get that Japanese visa? And how long will that last until you're tired of it? Do you plan on learning the language and making new friends? Will you be blessed and find local friends that speak English? One recent global index ranked Japan 96th out of 123 non-English speaking countries in the very low proficiency band, meaning Not very many Japanese speak English. The reality is, the root cause of the inability to adapt to a culture and feeling lonely is not speaking the language. It's one of the big reasons why Americans move back home. Language is a big deal. It provides that feeling of community and fitting in. Isn't that what you want and why you moved to Japan in the first place? You didn't move all the way to a foreign country to hang out with the other American expats, did you? At first, you might hang out with the expats, but at some point, you will want to break away from that American culture in a foreign land, right? Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for leaving on the heels of the rest of the expats. For example, when we lived in Ecuador, we observed most of the expats leaving after a year or two. One by one, two by two, they returned to the States. We lost all of our friends little by little. There were days when we would go downtown to the touristy areas and not see one other American in Cuenca. But eventually, new vloggers came into town and started doing their peddling, and a new set of expats moved to Cuenca, Ecuador, and guess what? They eventually left too! The move abroad thing is a turnkey operation. They come in, stay a while, and leave, and the cycle continues as long as there are fishermen and women luring people to go there. And this is exactly why they're called expats and not immigrants, okay? Japan is the same way. Expats move in, stay a while, and leave. Look, Japan is a lovely country. It's safe, it's clean, it's organized and orderly, the people are very nice, and those aspects of a country are great when you're on vacation. Americans can stay in Japan for 90 days on a tourist visa and enjoy all of the sights, sounds, and cultural amenities that Japan offers without the stress of moving there. But what about full-time living? If you manage to receive one of Japan's longer-term residence visas, the truth is most expats find that daily life is much harder than the fantasy they moved there on. And it's not the country of Japan that is the fantasy, it's the idea of what you thought it would be like, whether it was told by an influencer or another expat. The vacation and the permanent life are two very different things. Japan would be an amazing country to visit, but living there long term takes a lot more adaptation than people expect. That's all we're saying. Don't move to Japan, you'll leave. Italy, the land of delicious food and the sweet life. Why do people move to Italy for? They move to Italy for the delicious Italian food and the spectacular landscapes. Let's face it, have you seen some of the spectacular ocean views in Italy? Nothing else is so beautiful. But pretty landscapes and good food is not enough to sustain us as expats. We need more than that. Humans need friendships and family. Some people need human interaction on a daily basis. The country of Italy on its own cannot provide us with our daily dose of social interaction. In fact, few Italians even know English. The pretty ocean views and lovely Romanesque architecture is a sight for sore eyes. But unfortunately, pretty landscapes and Italian food are not enough to keep most of us content and happy living in Italy. On the surface, Italy seems like a great place to live for the rest of your life, and we think Americans move there thinking they'll live out this fairy tale in one of the most beautiful places in the world. But the sweet life is not real life in Italy. It can be sweet, but that is mostly for the Italians who live there and are familiar with their own country and how everything works and is done. The Italian way of life. Italy, Spain, France, Portugal, it's those facade countries that seem so neat. But once you start your day-to-day living, you find out that it's not all cracked up to be what you thought or what you were told. If we move to Italy, we have to understand and get along with the Italian way of life, which is very different than the American way of life. And Italians are sort of stubborn people. Italians may cater to the tourists, but once you get away from all that touristy stuff, the Italians like things done their way. If you move there, they actually expect you to speak Italian and adapt to the Italian way of life. That's why you can't even get citizenship now without speaking Italian. Did you know that? We lived in Italy for almost 2 years, and even though Frank speaks Italian well, we would still get gringoed when they found out we were Americans, although Frank would not put up with it. Now, isn't that funny? We already knew about the crazy bureaucracy of Italy, and since one of us spoke Italian, it made things much easier, and we absolutely enjoyed our life in a peaceful village overlooking the sea. But we can certainly see why most expats have a difficult time adapting to the culture. Most people will not enjoy living as an expat in Italy, and is why it is one of the top countries where expats leave the most. People move to Italy with high expectations, thinking they're going to live this life of grandeur thanks to the ram peddlers. But once the honeymoon wanes, it's more challenging than you thought. In our opinion, we think most Americans move to Italy on this romanticized idea of how Italy is going to be for them. They're going to live the Italian sweet life forever and ever. And that's because it is such a picturesque country with delicious food and lots of gorgeous architecture and wonderful sightseeing. And so we tend to get lost in that dreamy, dramatic postcard idea. But in reality, none of that matters when it comes right down to living day-to-day life. Whatever is most important to you in your home country will be what is the most important to you in a foreign country. Think about this. 25 to 30 years ago, Americans mainly just took vacations. Moving to a foreign country was almost unheard of unless you were a missionary working with a church. I think that expats find the gap between the romantic image of Italy and the day-to-day reality of life too huge to bear, and is why most of them leave. Let us know what you think. Bottom line, don't move to Italy, you'll leave. Thailand, the land of smiles and beautiful beaches. What makes people want to move to such a foreign country as Thailand? Some Americans move to Thailand for the lower cost of living. Some folks move to the land of smiles to meet people. Others want the so-called cheap health care. And some Americans move for the gorgeous beaches and sunsets. Okay, sounds good so far. But why do they leave Thailand? American expats are leaving Thailand because the country does not meet their wants and needs that they moved there for. They went there for one thing and it didn't work out, or something changed, and now they're leaving. Thailand seems to be making immigration and banking changes that drastically alter the financial landscape for many expats living there, and they're leaving. It's as simple as that. We've always said on this channel, Asia, especially Thailand, is much too exotic and foreign for most Americans. I mean, it's great for vacations. The chances you will actually ever learn more than just a few phrases of the Thai language are very low. Thailand may be lower cost than your own country. It may have lower cost healthcare. It may have a variety of food options, and it may even have an assortment of things to do and see. But you will always feel like an outsider in Thailand. That's because you are. It's very difficult to get settled in on any sort of comfort level when it's so foreign as Thailand is. You may very well enjoy the honeymoon period, but once that wears off, reality sets in and you start to see the country in a different way. The cheapness doesn't matter anymore, and the food is tiring and boring. This is why more expats leave Thailand than other countries. The foreign landscape is just too much to bear. The country is a place where taking a month-long vacation would be too long. Before you're ready to come back home, to your familiar bed and have a cheeseburger and french fries and a piece of apple pie. Don't move to Thailand, you'll leave. Well, that's the 3 countries where expats leave the most. Have you lived in one of these countries? Tell us about your experience, because that's what we like to do on this channel, is hear what other expats have to say. All stories are helpful to others in some way. So be safe wherever you are, and until the next video, take care and bye-bye.